name is Trips on Tail. I am the owner of Tamrielic Realty, and it is my job today to help you find the home of your dreams in the hardy northern province of Skyrim. I have connections throughout Imperial Skyrim, and I am confident that we can find a home that suits your needs and your budget. You will notice that I said Imperial Skyrim. Unfortunately, due to complications of the current civil war, Tamrielic Realty is only able to offer homes in Empire-affiliated areas of Skyrim. We are in discussions with representatives of the Stormcloak Rebellion to expand our operations into the Eastern Holds. But, as you might imagine, with Jarl Stormcloak having issued an edict that bans Argonians from residing in Windhelm, it becomes somewhat difficult to negotiate access as an Argonian-led realty organization. But let's not dwell on such things. At Tamrielic Realty, we know that your neighborhood is just as important as your home. So we make it a point to show you around the city of every home that we have on offer, to help you decide if it's the kind of place that you would like to live. We are currently leaving the Cloud District of Whiterun, where the Dragon's Reach fortress stands at the home of the Jarl. The residential area below Dragon's Reach is called the Wind District. And here we can see one of the most famous icons of Whiterun, the Gilder Green. The Gilder Green is a cutting of the Elder Gleam, one of the oldest living things in Tamriel. It grows just outside the temple of Kinnereth. So if you are a worshipper of Kinnereth and her bounteous connection to nature, you may find Whiterun an appropriate place to live for your daily devotion. Whiterun, of course, also hosts the Companions. The Companions are essentially a mercenary organization, though they highly value honor and traditional Nord values. The companions reside here in the upturned longboat Jorvaskr. And we can see the Sky Forge that overlooks the Jorvaskr. The Sky Forge was here long before Whiterun, and when the companions established Jorvaskr just under the forge, Whiterun eventually grew around it. The Skyforge is the source of the finest smithed weapons and armor in Skyrim. And if you live in Whiterun and have the coin for such things, you will have access to an incredible source of arms and defenses, if, of course, such things are important to you. I do recommend that if you choose to live in Skyrim, you have some means of defending yourself. Even in the best of times, the roads are dangerous. And in the current era of civil war, that has only become more true. Here we can see the Temple of Kinnereth. If you are devoted to the divines, you will find that the various cities in Skyrim all have temples devoted to certain divines. So if religion is an important element of your life, you can take that into consideration as we explore your home options. Whiterun is a beautiful city, in my opinion. It is neutral in the current civil war. I did say before that we could only sell in Imperial affiliated locations. It's really more accurate to say that we simply haven't been able to come to an agreement with the Stormcloaks yet. As I'm sure you're aware, the Jarls of Skyrim's holds possess the authority to decide who is able to buy property in their territory. As a realty organization, we must come to agreements with every Jarl within whose hold we wish to work. We are descending into the Plains District, by the way. This is the commercial district of Whiterun, but it does also have a few homes, and your potential home, Breezehome, is in this district as well, very close to the main gate. So we were able to come to an agreement with Jarl Balgruuf the Greater, the Jarl of Whiterun, to sell property on his behalf. It is a great responsibility as a realty organization when we make these agreements with the Jarls. They expect us to sell responsibly, to vet our home buyers to ensure that they would be welcome, safe additions to the cities. It's particularly important these days. Also, I will briefly say, Whiterun has a beautiful view of the surrounding areas of Skyrim. The Brittleshin Hills off to the south, the throat of the world, the White River that cuts through the tundra plains. But as I was saying, it's particularly important at a time like the present that the Jarls trust that we will be responsible in our selling, as prices have been driven way down due, unfortunately, to the Civil War. Now this, of course, redounds to your benefit as a home buyer, but it becomes particularly important in such times to ensure that home buyers are not intending to be predatory, that they are not wealthy, unscrupulous individuals intending to accumulate large amounts of property in wartime and then sell at a tremendous profit in peacetime. In the commercial district of Whiterun, here where you will be doing your daily shopping, they have plenty of services: 2 taverns, an apothecary, a general goods store, a smithy, and a variety of open-air market stalls, which is quite typical for Skyrim's marketplaces. And we will see some other open-air stalls as we travel to other cities. But here is Breezehome. This is the home that you can purchase here in Whiterun. It is a charming, rustic example of Nord architecture. Even in a more modest home, such as this one, the Nord expertise with lumber and stonework is clear. And we can see some traditional Nord design elements, such as the wide timber pillars, the carved stone floors, and so on. This home comes with a small alchemy laboratory. If you are into alchemical concoctions, it has an open hearth in the center of the house, and it has a loft area with multiple rooms, which is also where we can find the master bedroom. Just through this door. Now you can see, as I said, a somewhat rustic home with the floor slats. I didn't realize Lydia was home. This home was previously owned by the Thane of Whiterun, and Lydia has been overseeing it in their absence. We have a small guest bedroom here as well, though of course it could be repurposed into another function. The price of Breezehome is a very modest 5,000 septims. And if you wish it to be fully furnished as it is now, it will be an additional 1,800 septims. So Breezehome is very reasonably priced. But I'd love now to show you the other end of the budgetary spectrum, in case you have the resources to allow for it. We find ourselves in Solitude, the capital of Imperial Skyrim, and the traditional capital of the province at large. We can see the city perched on the Great Arch there, with its elegant fusion of traditional Nord practices and the refinement of imperial tastes. Solitude outclasses all other cities in Skyrim when it comes to comfort, art, and cultural diversity. Yet it still retains that proud sense of Nord heritage. As we approach the city, we can pass or take note of the Sky Tower lookout here. It serves as a watchtower in most time, but can be used as a barricade point if the city comes under siege. Not that we are worried about that, of course. Drawing closer to the city, we can see the Squall Gate just up ahead. Solitude has multiple layers of defensive fortifications, making it a very secure city. Now, as we pass through the Squall Gate, we see the Storm Gate just up ahead, the final line of defense. Take note of the rounded Bartizan-style turret just up and to the left there. One of Solitude's, let's say, architectural quirks or distinctions is its use of rounded construction, which was a preference of High King Erling, who oversaw the construction of much of modern Solitude. We will see this rounded architecture throughout the city, in arches, doorways, the famous windmill that stretches high above the city. Even the Blue Palace, which I believe was constructed after Erling's reign, continues to show this tradition of more rounded architecture. It gives Solitude a very unique style. Here we see the Well District. This is the marketplace of the city. You can expect to come here for your daily meat, wine, produce, and other essentials. Specialty shops can be found along the main walkway just after entering the city. There you will find the general goods store, an alchemy shop, a clothing shop, and the city inn, which I find to be very charmingly named as the Winking Skeever. Just up these ramps here, we will find Castle Dower. Currently it serves as the headquarters of the Legion military activity in Skyrim, where the military governor, General Tullius, oversees the war effort. Castle Dower also hosts the Emperor's quarters. Whenever the Emperor comes to visit Skyrim, the Tower of Castle Dower serves as their luxurious residence. Castle Dower also hosts the Temple of the Divines in Solitude. And uniquely in Skyrim, this is the only temple in the province where all the Divines are worshipped. Though, of course, as an Imperial-controlled city, the alcove to Talos currently stands empty. As you know, Talos worship was banned under the terms of the White Gold Concordat. Nevertheless, if you are a particularly devout person who does obeisance to all the gods, living in Solitude provides a unique religious experience. But leaving Castle Dower and beginning to cross the Great Arch, we are passing through the Avenues district, which is the residential area of Solitude. The homes of the Avenues are a very tasteful mix of stone and wood, drawing as much influence from imperial artistry as local Nord customs. You can expect your neighbors to be, in many ways, the typical rugged resident of Skyrim, but you will also find some more, shall we say, effete residents from the imperial heartland. But before we visit your potential home, let's not neglect the Blue Palace, which is, in my opinion, one of the finest pieces of architecture, not only in all of Skyrim, but in the whole of the continent. It is the seat of power for Skyrim's High Kings, or at least it was until the previous High King, Torrig, was slain by Ulfric Stormcloak, which of course kicked off the current hostilities in Skyrim. Torrig's widow, Elisif, commands Hothingar as Jarl, although if she has ambitions to be the new High King, or Queen rather, of Skyrim, she has not acted towards it. Now, one small matter to be aware of. As we approach your home here is just here to the right, the Bard's College. The college literally abuts your potential new home, and should you live here, you must be prepared to hear flutes, drums, singing, lutes, and poetic recitations emerging from your next door neighbors constantly. Some people might consider this a pleasant ambiance, but I know that for some people that might be quite a significant drawback. We never want our clients to feel tricked or blindsided by their purchases. So we make sure to share all aspects of a home, both positive and negative. This is the back alley behind Proudspire Manor, and this is the rear entrance, which provides a wonderful view over the Sea of Ghosts to the north. The Sea of Ghosts. And you can slightly see into the Bard College courtyard as well. So this is Proudspire Manor, a luxurious 3-story manor house in the very heart of the Avenues district. This is the most spacious offering I have for you today. It has, as you can see here, incredibly detailed artistry carved into every post, arch, and door. These reflect very classic, traditional Nord motifs. These sort of knot-like patterns tying into each other, as well as carved depictions of dragons, which are very associated with the province. We have a lovely sitting room here just through the main entrance. And off to the right, we have the dining room, kept warm by a very nicely situated fireplace. I'd love to take note of the windows and the incredible glasswork. The dragon depictions in the windows are absolutely beautiful. Skyrim sometimes has a reputation for being, shall we say, uncultured, but it is a very inaccurate stereotype. The Nords have a thriving artistic tradition here, and in my opinion, it's one of the most compelling reasons to buy in the province. You can see you have an expansive basement here, with plenty of room for ale and wine storage. also currently set up with an alchemy station, an enchanting table, and a bit of a mess left behind. We'll just pick up these Taurus eggs and deposit them back on the table. And just to clarify, all of these homes come fully furnished, as sold as is, rather. But if you prefer to furnish them yourself, or perhaps just to save some money, you are welcome to request that we remove the furnishings before the final purchase, and we will deduct their cost from the final price. So, with such expensive space in the basement, you should have no issues with storage here in Proudspire Manor. But let's make our way up to the 3rd floor. We have a goat head on the wall, one of the preferred decorative methods in Skyrim's homes. Stuffed animal heads. I must admit, I'm not a particular fan of being eyeballed by a beady-eyed moose or elk whenever I am home, but it's one of the charming traditions of the locals. So we have a wonderful upper floor here, a more private area, but with some archways that look down onto the 2nd floor below. Lots of natural light from windows and a very spacious roof. And that's one aspect that I love about this home, is the high ceilings. Sometimes the local buildings can feel, in my opinion, a little claustrophobic. But Proudspire Manor is very spacious, open, and comfortable. We have a expensive bedroom here, a 4-poster bed, so that you can sleep in true elegance. And the roof, the ceiling rather, we should take special note of. Oftentimes we're told when visiting a piece of wonderful architecture is, don't forget to look up. And of course you can see just how much attention was put into the ceiling as well. Additionally, we have a small children's bedroom set up. This could be repurposed, or if you are intending to raise a family here, you could leave it as is. So the price of Proudspire Manor is 25,000 septums, which is the most expensive home I have on offer today. The furnishings of the home are an additional 14,000, so the home and the furnishings together will bring you up to 39,000 septums. But before we move on to the next home I have for you, I wanted to offer you a slightly unusual offering, or a different approach to finding your dream home in Skyrim. If you can't find your dream home, why not build it yourself? I've acquired a plot of land just outside Solitude. As you can see, construction had barely started on this Winstad Manor before funds dried up, and the project was abandoned. I thought it was a great location to build in, so I decided to purchase it. The land is very reasonably priced at 5,000 septums, though of course you must understand that taking over the construction of Winstad Manor yourself is no light task, and the investment of both time and gold will be quite steep. But you will be rewarded for your effort and resource expenditure with a home that perfectly matches your vision. You could build trophy rooms, libraries, enchanting towers, whatever you like. The only limit is your imagination. If you do purchase Winstad Manor, I am happy to put you in touch with many of my contacts in Skyrim who will be able to provide construction services at very reasonable prices. Just inside, we can see, of course, it is completely unfurnished and rather small. Now you could leave the home this size, but the manor was planned to have numerous extensions. So the land has already been surveyed and approved for expensive construction. But if the idea of taking on a lengthy construction project doesn't appeal to you, we can take our final stop today in Markarth. Markarth is utterly unique, certainly in Skyrim, but to my knowledge, in all of Tamriel as well, as an ancient Dwemer city which is inhabited by peaceful folk. I've brought us high up into the city to overlook it and get a good look at the craggy, rocky home that you could be moving into. But I also wanted to show you a certain feature of Markarth that you might find enjoyable. is a high elf named Calsilmo, and he is one of the world's top scholars on the Dwemer. He has created a one-of-its-kind museum dedicated to Dwemer artifacts and automata, such as this Dwemer Centurion here. The museum is a wonderful date night, if I might suggest it. And if you intend on raising children in the city, very educational. We have a Dwemer sphere here. A very frightening war machine. As a simple realtor, I have no combat skills, and the idea of such a device hurtling towards me with its blade extended sends a chill down my spine. Or perhaps that's just the draftiness of Understone Keep, which is this building here, and is the seat of Jarl Igmund. Now, as I said before, I never want to trick my clients, and you should be aware of the nature of power here in Markarth. While Jarl Igmund ostensibly rules Markarth, the Silver Blood family, if they don't de facto rule the city, they come quite close. Markarth has severe issues with corruption, not to mention violence, as the reach folk of the area, the Forsworn, have engaged in a long and bloody guerrilla warfare to reclaim their lands. But plenty of people still live happy, safe, fulfilling lives here in Markarth. Up above us we have a wonderful sunset-lit view of the crag, which hosts the Temple of Dibilla. We'll get a better look at that later, and I'll point it out again. Down here in the riverside area, we can see the beating heart of Markarth. Sydenham Mine, off to the right there, is a silver mine owned by the Silverblood clan, and prisoners are thrown into the mine to work as slave labor. Any Forsworn that are captured by authorities are locked up in the mine. Although there are rumors that this is not necessarily as restrictive as it sounds. I've heard whispers of a figure called the King in Rags, who lives in the mine and dispatches his orders to the Forsworn rebels. But if we climb the steps here to the top of the crag, we can see the guard barracks off to the right, this tall Dwemer tower. mountains of the Reach off to the east. As you have seen just from our brief walk around the city, the architecture of Markarth is unlike any other place that you could live in Skyrim. If you admire the Dwemer-style architecture, buildings, and stonework, living in Markarth would surely be a wonderful experience every day. Down here, by the river, is where they smelt the silver pulled up from Sidna Mine, which makes the Silverblood clan so rich. But let's head to the front gate now, so I can show you where you would enter and exit the city. And then I will escort you to Vlindrel Hall, the prospective home that you might be interested in here in Markarth. So, passing on our right is the city's main gate. We have a small open-air market here. You can buy sundry items and daily necessities, meat, jewelry, and so on. And if we continue down this alley, we can begin climbing the steps to the north that will lead to Vlindrel Hall. And what a view of Understone Keep. I've visited Markarth numerous times. I've spent days here as I was establishing Tamrielic Realty in the city. And the beauty of this Dwemer architecture never ceases to stun me, especially at sunrise and sunset, when the brilliant hues of Skyrim's sun arc and reflect across the stonework and the waterfalls. It's truly something special. And speaking of special, is the view from your front door. Imagine pulling a chair out here at night and sipping on an ale. Now that's quite a vision, isn't it? But let's step inside Vlindrel Hall, an incomparable home that I have for offer thanks to its Dwemer nature. It even has the original light fixtures hanging from the ceiling, although they are, of course, non-functional now. And we have lit the home with fire. Now, as you can see, the central area of this home is quite expansive. We have the dining area, along with a very nice hearth with plenty of seating for cooking. There is a private dining room as well, where you might choose to take your breakfasts. But let's check out the adjoining rooms first before we enter the bedroom. And of course we have lots of stuffed animal heads on the walls here, which never fails to creep me out, but if you enjoy it as decor, then it's all very nicely set up for you. We have an alchemy room here, equipped with plenty of ingredients, alchemy supplies, bottles, and so on, as well as a small hearth in case you need to boil any of your ingredients. The fireplaces in Vlindrel Hall are all very well ventilated due to the intricate and effective network of Dwemer pipes, which allow fumes to be vented into the sky above. This room, besides serving as a small trophy room for various weapons and armor, which is a popular fixture in Nordic homes, it is also the enchanting room. Why do we need a skeever overlooking us, I ask? Regardless of that, let's continue on into the bedroom. Now, the bedroom is really more of a master suite. This is a wonderful place to have company, as you will be able to maintain some privacy in your suite area. It has a private dining table, as you can see, where you and a spouse could take your breakfast separately from your guests before freshening up and meeting them in the main dining hall. This room currently hosts a small bed as well as storage. It can be servants' quarters or repurposed in a variety of ways. But let's be sure to appreciate the Dwemer art, the carvings on the wall. It's elegant, it's arcane and mysterious. I think even romantic in a sense, a lost civilization. And just through here we have the bedroom. It is quite large, as you can see. And I must say, this house has an incredible value. It's being sold for only 8,000 septums, and the furnishings will run an additional 4,200 septums. So in total, for such a beautiful, well-located home, Vlindrel Hall is only 12,200 septums. Now, I hope you have enough information to pick a home that is just right for you and your needs. We have plenty of wonderful for fun, and I suspect you will not even be interested in this home. But just for fun, I'd love to show you one strange offering I have. Oh, and I should point out the Temple of Dibella up there again. If you are a worshipper of Dibella or a follower of the Dibellan arts, as they say, Markarth is a great place to pursue those practices. So, the very unusual offering I have today is a haunted house. Or at least, that's what everybody says. I can assure you there are no ghosts inhabiting the home. Now, I haven't even set a price on it yet. Nobody local would ever think of buying it. And it has long been abandoned. But if you're willing to step inside, I'd love to walk you through it just for interest's sake. Now the home, I must say, has a rather poor layout. It is structured essentially as one long path. If you were to walk from the doorway to the lowest storage room, well, you'll see just how long of a walk it is. Nevertheless, it is somewhat expensive, and I think could make for a fine, if slightly awkwardly conceived in terms of floor plan home. And I think some children have been in here rearranging furniture, no doubt having fun, playing pranks on their friends, pretending that the ghosts did it. And of course we have wonderful, not creepy at all, animals staring down on us. Now if we continue through this door, we will begin to descend into the house's lower depths. It is a bit dusty or misty in here. And of course the place could do with a bit of tender loving care. This is one of the reasons that I haven't even set a price on it yet. I've had no time to get in here and sweep up the cobwebs and so on. But continuing down into the storage area, we will find something rather unusual and find the source of the home's supposed haunting. Now if we travel past these shelves, we will find that a small portion of the wall has been knocked out. And I will warn you in advance, at the bottom of this tunnel is a shrine to the Daedric Prince, Molag Bal. master of Cold Harbor, you might find this home quite appealing. Now, I personally would never worship the Daedric Prince of, shall we say, some unsavory practices, but I'm hardly in a position to judge. Let's just say that a certain Daedric Prince and his dog might have had a small part to play in how successful my realty organization has become. But here we can find the shrine to Molag Bal, a small altar with a strange spiked mace floating in the air. I have tried to interact with this altar but found it unreceptive. But if you'd like to purchase this house, we can talk about it once I've had some time to think about its value. But this was, of course, mostly for fun, showing you this offering while we were in Markarth anyways. But I hope that our stops today have shown you a home or two that caught your eye. And if anyone has, we can get started on the paperwork. Thank you so much for choosing Tamrielic Realty today. I know you have many options of who to go with when it comes to finding your dream home. And it means the world to us that you would choose Tamrielic Realty. So thank you. And if you ever require our services again, please do not hesitate to contact